Hey everyone, welcome back to the Family That podcast. So I want to talk about why I left the Democratic Party. This is such a random thing to talk about, but I feel like I was Democratic because, of course, I'm black. I was young, and at the time, that just seemed like the route that you were supposed to take. And so now that I'm older, I am almost 28 years old, and now I can kind of see the world for myself. I kind of view things differently. I have children now, so I see things in a totally different light than when I used to when I was like 18 years old first voting. So my first person that I was able to vote for president was Barack Obama. That was the first person I was able to vote for. And I did it because everybody was so excited. We're going to have our first black president. It was this huge momentum. It was huge on the college campus. I was on the college campus at the time. And it was just huge. It was just such a big deal. And it felt like, I was a part of history. It just felt great. It felt like, oh, we're getting change. We're going to make things better for everybody type of thing. So it was just really, really exciting. And so that's why I was a part of the Democratic Party. But as time went on and I started to express my feelings and my thoughts, I realized that I'm not like most of the people that are Democratic. I realized that a lot of my opinions don't align with the party. And so when I realized this most was probably when Trump ran. I found Trump very entertaining. I thought he had a lot of high energy. And I just liked that he was different. At the time, we thought he was different because, of course, he was saying it's going to drain the swamp and all of these things. And I saw how bad people talked about Trump. I saw how bad people talked about black people that supported Trump as well. And not saying that I'm a Trump supporter. Let me go ahead and put that right there. I'm just saying during that time was when I started to notice different things, seeing people's viewpoints, talking points. And I was realizing that I'm not on the side that I thought that I was on. So I took a political quiz just to see, like, what are all of the things that this side believes in? What is all of the things that that side believes in? And where do I fall with those things? So, funny enough, I also really like Bernie Sanders, right? I like Bernie Sanders because I like the whole idea of healthcare for all. I like the whole progressive movement. We're going to make $15 an hour so people can have a livable wage. We're going to do all of these things. It sounded so exciting to me because I'm like, man, everybody's going to get a fair shot and all of these. I mean, like I'll tell you my ideas in a second. Let me get back to the party. So that was also very interesting to me too at the same time. And I didn't like the Democratic candidate. I don't like every time they put a Democratic candidate in front of us. I never like them. And I always hear the same phrase every single time they put them in front of us. We got to pick the lesser of two evils. And evil is still evil, no matter how you dress it up. It's still evil. So why are we picking evil? That's always been my thing when we talk about, like, when people are running and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I don't even like picking the president. I know it's very important, but I really love the local elections. That's like, that's where I want to be able to invoke change the most, is where I live in my community, stuff like that. So anyways, once I took a political quiz and all of those things, I realized that I like some things on that side, I like some things on this side, so I became an independent. And so when I became an independent, I was one that was kind of like in the middle. So I was in the middle. So I was like, okay, I agree with things from here. I agree with things from here. So from 2016, I became an independent. I was like, okay, every election I'm going to see which one I like the most. Which side am I leaning more towards? Am I more right this time or am I more left, depending on what the candidate says? Because, okay, let's talk about my little mixed up, jumbled up views about everything, right? So I am a person that, like, every 4th of July, it always bothers me when people say, oh, we can't celebrate because we weren't free and all of these things like that. But then I'll see people going through pure hell to get into this country, and they find something valuable here. They love this country and they find freedom here. So I've always been like side-eyeing, like, wait a second. Let me think about that. Okay, so when I think about the world and I think about how we can help people, how we can change the world and things like that. I think what we could do more than anything to give people money and stuff like that, it's about changing your mindset. It's about changing what we've been taught and changing systems from within, right? So that's what I believe is key into changing people's situations. So when I say that, I'm saying, like, for example, the school system, right? The school system can be so much better for our children. And it's just like, it seems like it's just a wasteland at this point. It just seems like that it's not preparing children for the real world, that, it's really failing a lot of kids. Okay, so I'm an independent, and I was an independent that used to lean more left because I was like, okay, I understand that side. That side kind of makes a little sense to me. And then, like, now towards this pandemic, I'm finding myself leaning more towards right. So, but even though I'm leaning right, I'm not a Republican. So let's make that clear, because I'm not all the way over there to that side either, because I feel like there's good on both sides, and I feel like they all play for the same system at the end of the day, and that it's going to be on us, the people, collectively, if we want to make a real change in this country. It's going to be on us to do that. That's just my thing, because right now I feel like certain people are not even working for us, even though we elected them to do so. So I feel like it's on we the people to make change happen. And so yeah, so the reason why I left the Democratic Party is because a lot of the things on that side started to not make sense to me. So to go back to my earlier point about, like, not being able to celebrate, like, holidays and stuff because you weren't free. Saying those things is so counterproductive, because it's like, how do we ever get to the point of being free if we just constantly say that we're not free? So it's kind of like, when do we get to the point of becoming from victims to victors type of thing? Like, we can't be the victims our entire lives, and so that's another thing too that I didn't like, is that people treat Black Americans like we're victims, like we always need extra this, need extra that, because this or that, and then there's a whole thing of people speaking for the community that's not even in the community that really bothers me. On the left, it's like, you can't speak for me, you can't think for me. And when you think differently than what those people think, then you kind of get ostracized, and they want to try to shove it down your throat that this is what. Alright, so they want you to believe certain things, and it's kind of like, if you don't believe those things, then you get ostracized, like I'm saying. And it seems like there's no, like, you can't just think freely on either side, to be honest with you. It seems like you have to go strictly with this agenda, or or this or that, and I just rather not be tied to anybody's agenda. I just believe that we hold all of the power, and that it's so hard for me to explain this, but I know, like, the we are free thing really bothers me a lot, because me personally, I don't know where my roots are. And of course, I'll eventually do, like, one of those DNA tests to kind of see where we originated and from all the other stuff. But my my lineage is back here. It's in Georgia. I can't go and say that, oh, I have ties to here or there. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? All I know is America. That's all that I know. And so it's kind of weird that you can't say, as a Black person, I'm proud to be American, when this is really all that you know. And it's not saying, oh, I'm going to just start singing the Star Spangled Banner or anything like that. It's just about having a sense of being connected to something and being proud of where you're from. Like, I just think it's beautiful when people are flying their flags and they're so proud to be from somewhere. But then, like, here, it seems like you can't be proud to be where you were born. You kind of just have to be like, okay, you have to feel like a misfit, like you don't belong here. And I don't like that feeling. I don't want to teach my kids that they don't belong here. So those types of things just really bother me. And that's probably not a left or right thing. It's just probably being a Black, type of thing. in my whole life, I've never been considered black enough anyway, so I've always struggled with trying to connect with the black experience. And so every time I do have talking points, every time I have talking points, I do notice that I go against usually people that look like me and people that are in the Democratic Party. And I'm just like, no, I don't think that that's what's going on. And for example, I feel like I'm not a victim to the circumstances that happen in my life, right? I always feel like I can always go out there and do better, and that there are certain systems in place. There are certain things that do keep you back a little bit, right? But those are not the only things that hold you back. They're not the only thing. For example, like renting a place is very hard right now because of like corporate investors buying up properties. It's hard to find affordable housing and things like that. But, and I guess, this is what the side makes me more left, right? Because I would love to figure out where's the happy medium where, we can work a nice job and be able to afford to live in the city that we work in type of thing. Now, I know this is just like a whole bunch of jumbled mess, but I just think about a lot of things at once. So, but besides those things, right, I feel like for example, the biggest thing right now is abortion. And I feel like I don't agree with, I'm kind of like, I see your point there. I kind of see your point there. But what I don't like hearing is let me kill my baby. I don't like hearing those chants. I don't like hearing, hey, I was irresponsible, so let me kill my seed type of thing. And I was a college student that was pregnant. And I remember it being like, okay, you can get rid of this mistake. You don't have to go through with this, and you can finish your college journey and go on to live a great life. Of course, I didn't have an abortion. I had my child. That's my 8-year-old now. So, and I'm happy he's here. And I guess the biggest argument on that side is if it's a life or, what it is. And I'm not going to get into that debate because I don't want to talk about that. I personally wouldn't do it for myself. But I think people, I guess, should have the choice because, I'm one of the people that are now, fighting like the whole thing with the vax mandates. So I don't know what I feel. But at the same time, I think the number was like 20 million. Or maybe it was billion. I don't know. I don't know the exact number have been aborted since like 1960. And that number was crazy to me. But to force somebody to be a mom, I'm not going to talk about abortion. I don't want to talk about abortion. I'm not going to, because I feel like, whatever you say on that issue is just going to upset people regardless. Some people should take responsibility for the actions that, that they take that lead to certain things, right? And I also believe in the nuclear family, which is something that I've noticed that a lot of people are starting not to believe in. And me, myself, I'm not married. So I recently started believing in this whole thing that, it is important for a man to be in the home raising the children together. I didn't believe that at first because, the person that I was with was horrible and they weren't a good person. And so I took those feelings into the whole thing. But I do want to one day have a strong unit for me and my boys, if possible. But now I know that I struggle with the fact of being a single mom and nobody really wants to take on that responsibility. So I might just do this alone and have to deal with it. And I'm also like not a hardcore feminist either. And so I realized, and the reason why I'm not a feminist is because I feel like that movement wasn't for black women, and I just don't want to be the mouthpiece for other people's pain and suffering when nobody cares about ours type of thing. I feel like black voices lend themselves to so many different causes, and then we're out here kind of in a doggone thing without like a paddle, boat without a paddle. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. So I just feel like, I just don't have time to fight for everybody's cause. I just cannot do that. And I feel like that's where we screwed ourselves over and over again. We lend our voices to this because we're very loud, we're very powerful and stuff like that. So when we get involved with certain causes, things just tend to happen. It just don't happen for us for some reason. But and so I think that's why every year I decide whether I want to lean more right or left. But during this whole pandemic, guys, I have really started to lean more right. And that's only strictly because the right is the only one that seems strongly against vax mandates and vax passports. I'm like, they're the only ones saying the things that I feel strongly, and the left is kind of like, no, you need to do this. We need all of the control and the power. And it just confuses me because I'm like, what? Like, what is going on here? So, I am very much politically confused right now, and I'm trying to think about all of the things that I think about politically. Where do I stand on certain issues? So for right now, I'm an independent, and I'm no longer, a Democrat. And the only problem is, right, it's like, well, who in the heck do you vote for, right? And usually I vote third party. And voting third party is pretty much like wasting your vote, right? And so that's the only thing. So I try to decide each year, like, who do I vote for based on what they say. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I do, depending on the candidate, I do vote Republican. Depending on what they stand on, what they're saying. I will vote Republican. And then sometimes I vote Democrat. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. And sometimes I just pick that third party when I'm really very confused about things. So, I'm trying to figure out what I am politically. I know that I'm an independent because I don't go for either party. And I know that I used to lean more left. Now I lean more right. So I'm just politically confused, and that's what this video is about. Thank you all for watching.